Alright, hey guys, remember CCG back with new videos. So with this video, I'm going to be bringing a Neo-spacian deck profile. So this is for post Power of the Elements, and this provided a few new cards for the archetype. And yeah, let's just get started here. So here I run 2 Elemental Hero Neos. I think having 3 is a brick, having 1 isn't enough. You need to have just enough in order to bring them out. And I thought this was just the perfect amount. Rainbow Dragon, it's a brick, but you want to have it so just so you can go into the fusion monster. So just go for that. 2 Spirit of Neos. This card's really good in this deck. It's one of the new cards, and basically lets you search out one of your Elemental Hero spells or traps, or lets you get a polymerization from your deck to your hand. It also gives you a way to go into your Neos, so it's a really good card. I think 2 copies is great. 3 might be a little bricky because it's not able to special summon itself out, so having 2 copies is good enough in my opinion. 2 Stratos, because you do want to like search some things out. It's not super important to have the Stratos here. It just gives you a lot more options in case you're going to fusion summon. Maybe you want to get out, you want to search out your Liquid Soldier, or maybe you just want to have your Neos in order to go, fusion summon into a monster that needs it. So yeah, great for that. Liquid Soldier, great card, just because you're able to draw 2, discard 1. A lot of draw value. And yeah, Shadow Mist, because this card, you're not going to be using this to get the change quick play spell. You're just going to be using this as a pitch for the EN engaged Neo-space. And this card's great just because it gives you more value when you're using the Neo-space. And if you guys want to see that, it's going to be in the test hands that I upload soon after this video. But yeah. And 2 Neo-space connectors. So Neo-space connector is great just because it lets you get either a Neo-spacian monster, an Elemental Hero Neos, or it lets you also tribute itself in order to get one of those out, which is great in case you're trying to summon out a specific Elemental Hero monster. So, or a Neo-spacian monster. So really great to have here. Just 2 copies, I think it's good. Now these 5, Neo-spacian Dark Panther, Grand Mole, Air Hummingbird, Aqua Dolphin, and Flare Scarab. They're not, the greatest cards, as you can see, but they do have chances to be potentially impactful. Of course, Grand Mole is pretty iconic for that. And then Aqua Dolphin, in case you want to make your opponent discard, that's interesting too. But usually you're just going to want to have these out in order to contact fuse into whatever fusion monster you're going into. 2 Ash Blossom as the hand trap of choice. I think it's just great to just add these 2 in here. 3 Crosskeeper, because this card is really good. It gives you a way to get the Elemental Hero Spirit of Neos out if you have it in your hand. And it's also a great way to just draw cards, and you can use these effects at the same turn. So that's great. 2 A Hero Lives, because this gives you a way to go and search out, or special summon out your Stratos. And yeah, from there you can use Stratos to search out whatever you need. And this is great in case you need to save the normal summon for the Neo-space connector. So A Hero Lives, great for that. 3 Neos Fusion. This card is great just because you're able to fusion summon. You use this usually at the end because you're not able to special summon after this. So you're just going to want to use this, fusion summon out. Usually you're going to want to go for the Rainbow Neos here at the end just because it's a really strong card. And yeah, just having three of these cards is great. It's just like free fusion monster you're able to get out. Just save it at the end, and it's a great way to just protect your Elemental Hero cards that would normally shuffle themselves back or be destroyed. 2 Instant Contact. I think this card is really great. I think having this card is great in case you need to, summon out the Fling Wingmen, because you want to summon out the Elemental Hero Shining Neos Wingmen. So yeah, having that out is great. But it's also another way of just getting out your other monsters that are level 7 or lower, and you just have to pay 1,000 life points. I think it's a great card, and when you draw it, and you don't have to use your Neos to search it out, and you can gives you the option to change up your plays a little bit. 1 Polymerization, because you don't really need it, but it's a good search because you want to use engaged Neo-space in order to search it out. But if you already have the polymerization in your hand, you can use it and then use the engaged Neo-space to get the 1 polymerization that's in your grave and add it back to your hand. So really there's no reason for you to have more than 1. Reinforcement of the Army, because this card is a great way to go into your Stratos, but it's also great for Crosskeeper in case you want to special summon the Neos, Spirit of Neos that way. 1 Miracle Contact, because it lets you fusion summon using cards that are in your hand, field, or grave by shuffling them back. This is just a great way to give you more value out of the cards that you don't really need as much. But having 1 copy of this is great. I think just 1 is decent. Miracle Fusion, because it's the whole kind of combo when you go with the Sunrise and for the Absolute Zero. And you can change that up later too to actually go into the Shining Neos Wingmen. So Miracle Fusion, great copy. Great to have just one copy of this, in my opinion. This is the new spell. This is the EN Engage Neo-space. This card is really good, just because you're able to pitch, your Elemental Hero Shadow Mist, and then whatever Neo-spacian card you might have in your hand. And in doing so, you're able to special summon the Spirit Neos, and then use Spirit of Neos' effect in order to search out whatever you may need in case you need the instant contact. And this also lets it search out or add a polymerization from your deck to your hand, deck or grave to your hand. So really good card. It gives you a lot of value. Definitely a 3 of in this deck. Monster Reborn, you just want to bring a monster out. It's a great way to continue some plays as well. So you just want to see it in your hand, really. Called by the Grave, just because this deck doesn't like hand traps, so you just want to completely avoid dealing with that. 2 super polymerizations. This card is great because it not only works as a way to, as a board breaker, and that with Power of the Elements has become easier to do because of, Garura. But it's just a really good card for this deck, and just gives you a way to actually interact with your opponent's field. And this deck really likes going second, so having this as a way to break your opponent's board is good for them. And then Favorite Contact is an interesting card. I like having one copy of it, and I think it's just an interesting card just because it gives you the option to go into the Cosmo Neos, and if you set this up right, you're actually able to use this in order to basically prevent your opponent from playing during their turn. And I showed that off in one of the test hands. Now, before we go to the extra deck, if you guys are enjoying the video and want to support the channel and also want to purchase some cards, especially with this new Power of the Elements set that's coming out, you can use the link in the description down below and just purchase whatever cards you need there and help support the channel. But let's go here to the extra deck. So Elemental Hero Cosmo Neos. This card is hard to get out, but when you use it with the Favorite Contact, which it makes it easier to go into, being able to special summon this out is pretty satisfying, just because if this card is special summoned from the extra deck, for the rest of the turn, rest of this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards. Also, cards your opponent control cannot activate their effects. And your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation, giving it protection from the summoned monster being returned to the extra deck. So that way you won't lose it. Of course, that does mean that, during the end phase, you're not going to be able to shuffle this card and destroy all cards your opponent controls. But still, keeping this is pretty great for that. Rainbow Neos is not that hard to summon because of Neos Fusion. And, being able to send one monster you control to the grave, shuffle all monsters your opponent controls into a deck, or send one spell trap in order to shuffle all spells and trap. It's just a great way to just remove your opponent's cards. A really good card for going second, and it's really powerful for that. Elemental Hero Nebula Neos. This card is great because if it's special summon, it lets you draw cards equal to the number of cards your opponent controls. Then you get to negate the effects of one face-up monster in the field. So it's just a great way to get more draw value. And also when you lose it during the end of the turn, you're able to shuffle it into the extra deck and banish all cards on the field face down. So really, it's just a great way to just board wipe essentially. Elemental Hero Shining Neos Wingmen. So this is the new Elemental Hero Shining Neos. So this card is great just because when it's special summoned, you can destroy cards your opponent controls up to a number of different attributes in the field. So it's just it's a boss monster that can serve as removal. It also gets stronger with each monster in the grave, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. While when it destroys a monster by battle, it inflicts damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. So it's just a really strong boss monster, but you can see it's really meant for going second. And yeah, in the test end video, I kind of show you guys how to get this card out easily. The easiest way you can really get it out. Starving Venom, of course, super poly, great target with this. Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. This card is great because, this deck does kind of struggle if you happen to go first. This is decent to get out just because if they do remove it, you're able to destroy all monsters your opponent controls. And Elemental Hero Air Neos. This card is great because it's essentially like the Ancient Sacred Wyvern, and the fact that it's kind of the reverse of the Ancient Sacred Wyvern, but basically the more you're losing, the greater the attack this card gets. So it's pretty clutch if you're getting really close to losing here. Dark Neos, just being able to negate one. Grand Neos is great just because you're able to bounce a card back. And then Aqua Neos is an interesting card if you do plan on going first, just because you're able to use this card to discard one of your own cards in order to destroy one random card in your opponent's hand. And sometimes you just have a lot of extra cards in your hand that you don't really need just because of the Crosskeeper and the Elemental Hero Liquid Soldier, and maybe you just want to use that for the Aqua Neos. Brave Neos can get pretty big. One copy of it I think is fine, and it's also a way for you to search out your spells or traps that list elemental hero Neo. So just having one copy is great. Sunrise is really good, just because when you special summon this out, it's just a free card to special summon out here, just because you can use it to get Miracle Fusion and then go into whatever you may need. Maybe you want the Absolute Zero, or maybe you got the instant contact, and then you were able to summon your Flame Wingman in order to get the Shining Neo's Wingman. So really it's just a great card, and having here is a must in my opinion. Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. This card mainly is just here just so you can go into your Shining Neo's Wingman. And then Extra Hero Infernal Devicer. I think this card is great, just because you are able to use this in order to add some fusion material that you may need. And I've actually been able to use this a few times just to fill up my hand with a bunch of Neo-spacian monsters in order to be able to use Favorite Contact during my opponent's turn and summoned out the Elemental Hero Cosmos Neos. And then here for the side deck are cards that you guys can consider running, but I just decided I didn't want to run. Elemental Hero Honest Neos. If you guys want to boost yourself up, you can go for that. Decided I don't really need this, and it's just more clutter in my hand. And one Neo-space connector in case you want to run 3 copies. I think it's too much. Decided not to run it. Glow Moss. I didn't think I really needed that. And also like the Elemental Hero Glow Neos isn't that strong, so decided not to run these two. The third Ash Blossom, you choose to do so. Storm Neos. I think this card is interesting, just because you are able to use it to destroy all spells and trap on the field. So you can use that as a great way to deal with your opponent's spells or traps. And when during the end phase, if it's shuffled into the extra deck, you're able to shuffle all cards on the field into the deck. So it's a really powerful card. You just need to find like what you want to get rid of for it, and you guys can choose from that. Magma Neos. This card is also interesting just because it lets you return all cards on the field to the hand. Decided I didn't really need it as much though, so just didn't opt to run that. Neo-spacian Marine Dolphin I think could be interesting just because you are able to summon it with instant contact, and then you are able to discard it in order to look at your opponent's hand. So that can be powerful in its own right. And of course, being able to make your opponent discard a card, monster card, in order. It's basically like it's very similar to the Marine Aqua Dolphin, but yeah, just another option there. End Shuffle I think is interesting just because you're able to switch out one of your Elemental Hero or Neo-spacian monsters. Decided not to run this though. Miracle Contact, the second copy, if you want to run that. Contact I think is interesting just because you are able to ditch 2 Neo-spacian cards. You do have to have one in your hand and one in your deck though. That's the thing. But then you're able to draw 2 cards. So I think that's a great way if you want to fill up the Favorite Contact, but decided not to run it. The third Super Poly, I think 2 copies is fine. I think the End Wave is interesting, just because if your Elemental Hero monster is used as a material for a fusion monster and sent to the grave or banished, you can special summon 1 Neo-spacian monster or 1 Elemental Hero monster, or 1 Elemental Hero Neos from your deck. So it's just an interesting card that's just able to get more value out from your deck. Decided just not to run it though, but if you guys want to test it out, go for it. Definitely recommend it. Next, I think is also another interesting card just because you're able to fill up your your monster with a bunch of, or your field with a bunch of Neo-spacian or Elemental Heroes from your hand or grave. Just decided, I don't really need this. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you are able to activate it if you control no cards. But yeah, I don't think it's really necessary. But yeah, guys, this is my Neo-spacian deck profile. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will be uploading the test hands very soon, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching.